When the colored lights come on, the tension is noticeable. The superhero teams assembles are a common feature in the Marvel Universe, but here we are introduced to a more sinister side. The Thunderbolts are not only another team of superheroes, they are villains with considerable moral confusion, dangerously unpredictable, and a great propensity for destruction. This crew is not the usual team of Avengers, with David Harbour returning as Red Guardian and Hannah John Kamen as Ghost. In the mere 2.5 minutes that the trailer spans, they immediately capture us with the fast cutting that sets the tone of the story, filled with such themes as betrayal, power, and a hero's journey. Despite that, David Harbour's Red Guardian is a rugged charm that is a man who harbors a lot of regrets, but still has that burning desire and will to get up and fight. Standing in front of him, the show's star Hannah John Kamen's Ghost is a mysterious person. Her illusion and releasing of herself from the normal society of not being able to trust and not being trustworthy. Harbour and John Kamen are not the only cast this show doesn't stop at. It also brings back characters that had been seen in earlier scenes as well as new ones, each of whom contributes depth to the plot. Yelena Belova, performed by Florence Pugh, has been added to the cast, as well as Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier and Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent. Two of them have their reasons to fight for the main character, and the third one is evident why they're enemies. The Thunderbolts are by no means newcomers to the MCU. In the previous seasons, what we've always been treated to is these characters being at the edge of the Avengers plotline as they all ride their fates. Red Guardian was introduced in Black Widow 2021, where the audience is introduced to a man in his old age struggling with his past. Ghost, who was first seen in Ant-Man and the Wasp 2018, was one character that left the audience wanting more due to her complicated history and ethically questionable actions. Both of these characters have hovered of that sort of villain line, but are still not fully black and white in the MCU. See, what we like about the Thunderbolts is that it features these tweaks of the characters right at the center. The trailer suggests that there are presumed implications that have followed the duo's actions, implying that their past sins shall hunt them down. So, what ties these characters to the film? As with most teaser trailers, it is full of suspense and does not show too much, but gives that certain amount of encouragement to ensure that we do not get all our hopes dashed. What is evident is that the Thunderbolts are not coming together willingly. They're being controlled or exploited, maybe by another person with underlying motives. So the question is, where does it end? They usually end up being used as scapegoats, or there are darker motives at play here. The mission as seen in the trailer is a dangerous one which the heroes are willing to risk their lives for. They are to neutralize a threat that is so big that it needs people who not only are willing to do what is necessary, but also do what is often prohibited by laws the Avengers themselves would not touch. This is especially the case since the costs of failure in this line of work are too steep to be measured in monetary terms. As the boy advances in the trailer, the audience can understand that perhaps a puppet's true enemy is not the figure which they have to confront, but the one who manipulates it. With the new season on the horizon, the audience can expect emotional, strong actions and ethical dilemmas. Whereas most super teams are full of examples of virtue. The Thunderbolts are not only anti-heroes, but also very damaged and dysfunctional examples. But it's like this phenomenon that makes them attractive for further study. The season will be biased in such subjects as redemption, trust, and the shades of moral relativity. What we find most engaging and have not seen anywhere is how the team members are going to relate to each other. These are not cameo roles where we can simply walk in and be lovely and get out. These are characters with a past. This conflict might be developed as the primary subplot where Yelena Belova and U.S. Agent both want to be the leader of the Black Widows. Similarly, one may again have to ask how well the Winter Soldier, who was a mindless killer for most of his life, will mesh with the goals of the group. Whether they will be able to join their efforts and be a team once again, or will internal conflict destroy their relations? Eventually, the success or failure of Thunderbolts does not only depend on its cast, but the writers as well. The work is directed by Jake Schreier, who in his previous projects is famous for the combination of action with the character's feeling. This is Schreier's vision for Thunderbolts, to make a movie that would entertain with the action sequences and also give an emotional experience. The screenplay, penned by Eric Pearson, who previously worked on Black Widow and Thor Ragnarok, which will be out soon, is preferred to be packed with sharp language and a compelling storyline that is mysterious enough to have people wondering what will happen next. Pearson has a talent for shifting between comedy and drama, which is very suitable for films such as Thunderbolts, which is an action movie, but also has depth in character exploration. From what can be seen in the trailer, the cinematography of this movie is bright, but at the same time shabby, which is suitable for the series of Thunderbolts, as they perform their missions in conditions of high tension and chaos. Expectations in the visuals should also be high, since the story will involve the characters' special powers while keeping things relatively realistic. One more factor, which is of paramount importance for the general atmosphere of every Marvel movie, is its music. And for Thunderbolts as well, the trailer includes a tension-filled soundtrack that points out the severity of the conditions in which the characters are in. The music rises and falls in peak, along with creating the mood of the trailer from moments of stillness to moments that involve action-filled sequences. The score, composed by Henry Jackman, who also scored Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Civil War, should be to a considerable extent an organic part of the film's aesthetics, furthering the presentation of moral grace and internal turmoil. Like any other Marvel movie release, the fan theories are already making the rounds on social media. Among the theories fans put forward, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is preparing the Thunderbolts on purpose. People who watch that show presume that she could be forming the team not to save the world, but for her benefit. This may result in change of hardware Thunderbolts, whom people consider to be villains, face off against a more vicious enemy. The other trending theory is crossover with other Marvel's series is likely to happen. They could run into the Avengers or end up allying the team in future Thunderbolts movies. It is so open to interpretation that one can only imagine what could happen, and the trailer does not help to counter these ideas, but rather encourages them with its teasing nature. Thunderbolts might help change the tone and the concept of the MCU movies entirely. Since the Avengers are or became largely defunct after Endgame, the MCU has been ever so slowly experimenting with other types of narratives which involve characters who work beyond the perimeters of law and order, or those whose motives are far from pure. It is possible that with the arrival of the Thunderbolts, the subsequent change, like readers' experiences, is on the increase, and comic books will begin to tell more ambiguous and profound stories, with no strict division between heroes and villains. This film can also and should delve deeper into what the heroes' actions cost on this level. As superheroes who stood to guard the Earth, the Avengers were portrayed as heroes who caused havoc and who had endless effects as a result of their fights. The Thunderbolts, with their practical and their way of thinking, might give a new outlook on heroism in the MCU. That is why the viewers might get to watch more film productions and series in the future, which feature such anti-heroes as those from Thunderbolts. Characters about which films have already been made, such as Deadpool, there would be a good focus on action and the internal conflict of the main character. Judging by the trailer, we are in for a fascinating movie that is set to spark the viewer's intellect, and if the film does justice to the trailer, Thunderbolts might just turn out to be the game changer for MCU. Is it time you prepare yourself for great Marvel? Which shows anti-heroes are the most risky, thanks to their crazy antics, unrelenting cruelty, and a directive that can either save humanity or destroy it. The Thunderbolts are a must-read. We're now starting a countdown to the year 2025. Get ready for what is set to be the movie of the year. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more updates.